live. It is Saturday, the 3rd of May, and I'm reading the Awakening letters, which are letters from the afterlife, varieties of spiritual experiences in the life after death. They are transmitted by Lady Cynthia Sanders. She and her friend Rosamond Lehman both lost their daughters very early, Sally and Patricia. They died young and in tragic circumstances. And these are letters which come through the pen of Cynthia, Lady Sanders, transmitted from their daughters about who they meet in the afterlife. This one, quite a few of them, are from Joe in part 5, and he is, his name was Sir Alvary Gascoigne, called Joe. He was Cynthia's brother. Joe on Charters and Everest. I want to tell you about my last visit to Chartres. Chartres, yeah. I wasn't very keen on churches, as you know, but I did know that Chartres was no ordinary church. As I walked in, I met a crowd of etherics. Some were coming out radiant, others were going in depressed. Some were in their sleep bodies, others were being taken by friends having just come over in pain or some other great distress and needing special treatment. They were all taken into the center of the nave, where the stone circle lies, to rest and readjust themselves before having what the helpers called the great experience. Some were paralyzed, some were in great mental distress. I saw the helpers straightening out their limbs, and upon them all the wonderful rays of colour fell from the rose window. To each came a different colour according to their need. The mentally disturbed ones were given green, the depressed blue, and soft shades of pinks and reds, and the utterly worn out were embedded in golden rays, and so on. I suddenly realized that I knew one of the helpers, and when she turned, I recognized Hilda, who had been an old friend of my youth. We were so glad to meet again, and she let me in on the technique of healing. She was mainly dealing with depression and fear. She said nearly everyone came over in this state. Very, very few came willingly. That was why so many gravely ill people hung on for so long. She had in her care an old woman, a man, and a child of about 10. They were not related, and she took each separately and allowed me to help. The man was old and ill and had come over in sleep, so he was an easy case. She placed him in a blue ray etched with gold to wake up slowly. The woman had been mentally disturbed, so she was given the green ray with a glorious suffusion of gold, which calmed her and automatically turned into a radiant blue. The tortured features relaxed, and she slept. The child was awake and miserable and clung to Hilda, who has always had a great way with children. She too was quickly soothed and asleep. I said, "What next?" "Wait and see." But at that moment I saw another woman being brought in. She was irritable and annoyed that more was not being done for her. "I told the doctor," she kept on saying. "I knew he was wrong. I got worse and worse with those awful pills and no other treatment, and now—" "Well, how do you feel now?" broke Hilda in. "Who are you? You are not my nurse. Why isn't she here? I rang my bell." "Yes. And then you left your body and came away with me. Don't you remember?" She looked puzzled and then said, "Yes, of course. You came in that lovely dress of gold. It was like a ray of sunshine. And when I thought you were going to leave me, I cried, and you said, come with me. And I came. Whatever made me do that? Your knowledge that no healing could reach you in that place. Now we are going to heal you with rays of light, and you're going to sleep. Turning to me, she said, watch. I saw a look of wonder come across her face, and she relaxed into a smile and allowed herself to sink on to an etheric bench and sleep. At this moment, Hilda whispered to me, come into the sanctuary. This is only the beginning. Many of those sleeping in the nave will get no further at present. They will wake up and go out into the plane of awakening. But those who are further advanced wake up and drift into the sanctuary quite naturally. Here we have the vibrations of memory and the development of wisdom, whose vibration can only be manipulated by very advanced people. I think you know one of them here. She is called Flo, and I will take you to her. So she took me up to a tall, kindly-looking woman and said, I think you must often have tried to help your cousin Joe in life. She turned and looked at me, and I knew at once that a current of power came with her vibrations, which I had experienced in rare moments of need during my past life. I was enchanted to meet her. What a woman, I thought, and what a leader. Next letter. Jane came with his wife and me to Morocco and visited the ancient city of Volubilis, and then on to Tangier, where he had been on post as consul general during the war. Patricia's writing this. We came with you to the old Roman city. Joe was delighted. He said he remembered it all and was quite certain he'd served there in one of his lives. Quite suddenly he began to tell me about the skirmishes they'd had and how he'd led one out from the city, and they'd got lost and ran out of water and began dying of thirst until he noticed some birds he'd seen feeding near to the city and suggested following them at dusk to their feeding place, and the birds guided them back to safety. After that recollection, he suddenly said, I've been seeing the past, my past, and how real it was. I can feel the heat and the dry sand and the thirst. Those were days of real warfare. How we all enjoyed it. How different from France, 1914 to 18. My goodness, what a place to have lived in. I like the savage strength of it all, and there's still a sense of great energy in those old walls. They were a capital lot, some of the old legionaries. I can half remember some of their faces, and I'm slowly piercing them onto faces of men I have served with in this last life. One old sergeant in the Guards stands out. He was killed on the Somme. Well, now to go back to Volubilis, I see that life as a wonderful, easy, natural life. I'm not sure if I came with the Legion from Britain. I had been in Britain, but that was in another life. And perhaps because of it, I was put in charge of the British Legion. I was quite a chap in Volubilis. I had several other legions under me in different parts of Morocco. But it is this one particular period that I see. The others I can't see yet. It's so extraordinary remembering like this. Quite suddenly I seem to fall asleep or go into a trance, and there I was in a Roman tunic and helmet. Not very suitable for the desert, but I was strong and nothing mattered. I saw the wall I had to defend. I saw the Roman spears and my own men. They were all absolutely clear, and I knew their faces by heart. I couldn't have been more myself, and standing beside me was Douglas. We seemed to have fought together, but he was killed in a fight, and I was inconsolable. I saw it happen, just outside the walls. I saw him fall. I rushed to him to save him. It was too late. And from then on, life was darkened until another personality came to my rescue. That was an older captain, whom I did not recognize at first in my vision, but I soon knew him to have been Lorna, a very great friend in my last life. He gave me confidence and a reason for living. He had suffered much and yet continued in a quiet, efficient way, telling me that one must hold on to the routine of a soldier's life, and that would give me back the power, and with it, and wish to continue. I came to respect him and love him dearly, and when he also fell in battle, I took his place, and he seemed to be inspiring me to go on until my own team came. We all died in battle in the end, and most of us, I think, in Africa. I met my release somewhere near Tangier. That was why I had to go back there. But in my last life, there was no call for me to penetrate further. Okay, I'll make a break here and read the next letter from him soon. He's done quite a few.